Hey everyone, it's Sean. Welcome to day 29 of my 100 Days of Making Comics. It's a bit of a different episode. Instead of the working on the pages, I've got a lot of footage of working on my characters. Rest assured, I will be working on my page today, but I'll also be changing up the dialogue, or the monologue, I should say. Instead of talking about just the comics, I'm going to talk a little bit about my fan edit of The Matrix and like how it allowed me to, to become better at making my comic book. It was a question from Dave from yesterday, so I'm just going to spend today answering that question a little bit. I hope you don't mind. Back to the usual program tomorrow. If you've already heard me ramble on about this side project more than enough, then I guess this video is not for you today. But here goes. Let's go. Someone finally asked me what my little fan edit is all about yesterday in the comments. Well, actually, I kind of had to think, like, do I really want to talk about this? Because, after all, this is about comics. But there is actually something I've brought up before that I don't mind bringing up again in regards to my other project, my little The Matrix Strikes Back sequels fan edit. The thing that is how it connects to the comic book project is that I've learned so much in the past couple of months helping a friend of mine at work edit her book. She wrote about 200 pages and I just went through it and just commented the hell out of it, like trying to give constructive feedback, like, how I was reading the book and what I was picking up on, what I wasn't picking up on, what I was getting annoyed by, all the questions I had. And there were a lot of questions that I had. And it really made me switch into this little editor mode. Like it just flicked that switch where like I saw problems and I didn't just want to critique, like I wanted to provide solutions and, so that she can pick and choose what she likes or doesn't like and hopefully, make a better book. Just like when I ask for feedback, that's what I want. And so it switched on the editor mode and allowed me to see a lot of the mistakes in my own writing and then, get into the aspect of problem solving, And the Matrix fan edit that I've been making has kind of done the same thing for me where like going into a movie you really enjoy, but there's a lot of problems with, and thinking about how it is put together, and with all the characters and everything, and just sitting down and just thinking about it, like why is this person here? Why is that person here? It's really helped me focus on what works and what doesn't work, according to myself, in my opinion, of course. And so this new run of working on my fan edit is really fixing the problems that are still in there, like in my version, some continuity problems, translating everything from English into Spanish made me realize that there's no way I'm going to be able to fit all this text on screen. So maybe there are some scenes where there's still a lot of redundant dialogue that I can cut out. So again, like it just really opened my eyes to writing by taking on these little exercises, if you will. And so in that regard, these two little side things, helping someone edit their book and editing a film has really benefited working on my comic book. And I think as I'm about to hit day 30 tomorrow, I feel like I've made so much progress in the last 30 days. Like I'm just on fire. Like I've just been moving through the pages, not just making the art, but also with this sense of purpose, like moving through the story, like rewriting it and just realizing very quickly, like, well, I've always been saying that these two characters are spies. Well, then I need to show them doing spy stuff. Obviously. obviously, but you know, it just hadn't occurred to me that I actually needed to get that in as soon as you meet them. Why? Because as soon as you meet a new character, unless there's a mystery about them, you kind of, you know, within a page, within a nutshell, want to explain to the audience, like, this is this character in essence. Like, you now know what this character is about, let's go have fun with them. And that's true for a lot of the characters. Like, I feel like one of the main characters, Emeshe, the girl with the dread always across her face, she's going to play a major part later on, but like in the beginning, like her main role is like she's Anne's best friend, she's looking after the kids. So in almost every panel, she's visually looking after someone, whether it's by talking to them, holding a hand, like doing something, always supporting, always in the supporting role. You know, so I'm just visually telling the story that way. Just like there's a character that's really shady. Like, he's not, for in the beginning, he's not really important. Like, he doesn't really need to be there. But whenever he is there, whenever there's a panel with him, I just kind of want to have him like look shady, you know, like do something that just kind of makes you go like, not too sure about this guy, you know? And so there's a lot of this storytelling that these little side projects have really just drilled into me. And therefore, I'm totally justified in answering Dave's question, like, what the hell is this little side project is all about? So this is my fridge. So a year ago, I was spending so much time editing the videos every Sunday for Sketchalona, which is my little vlog series that you can find on my channel. And I was always having a lot of fun with that. Like, I really enjoy video editing. It's very time consuming, but I also felt like within the year of me living here in Spain, my video editing skills had really like increased. Like, it had really leveled up, and I wanted to take on like some next level video editing. I've been really enamored with some of the fan edits I found via fanedit.org. Like, there's a Batman, Superman fan edit, like the No Justice fan edit, which I thoroughly recommend. There's the Hobbit fan edit, which takes all three, I think, what is it? A Hobbit, a story or something? I can look it up. Basically, it takes the 3 Hobbit movies and makes it one epic 4-hour-long movie. That might seem like overkill, but trust me, like, if you enjoy The Lord of the Rings, this 4-hour Hobbit movie is incredible. Like, it's like one of the extended cuts of, like, say, 2 Towers. Absolutely fantastic. What are you doing, Button? Be quiet. So I wanted to, you know, take it like, I don't want to say B movie, but like take a film that, you know, that I've always really enjoyed and just always been enamored with, but has a lot of problems, and just kind of have a go at it. And so I'd already had a go editing some of the fight scenes of the Matrix sequels just for fun, seeing what I could do with it. And that kind of led me to having some ideas of moving scenes around in the 2 sequels, and maybe having a go taking the 2 films and blending them into one. And not like other fan edits that I'd already seen of the sequels, like the No Zion edit, for example, where they basically edit out everything that has to do with Zion, like the whole party scene, everything in the sequels, because a lot of people don't like those scenes. I think they're fine, but so that's basically like what the project is about. So to explain what I've done with the 2 films is, you know, I had a big think about, like, as I went through the project, like what the characters are about, like what they're doing, like asking a lot of questions. That's been very helpful, like helping me develop, you know, some writing skills, even though it's someone else's writing, some editing skills, I should say. But so what I thought of was, because there are bits in the 3rd film, there are bits in the 3rd film, like I don't want to fall into the trap of complaining about them, because I do enjoy them, but where that I really, really enjoy, like, for example, the whole Merovingian bits at the nightclub scene. But I've always felt like they were out of place and characters don't seem to recognize each other, and like the way they talk to each other seems weird. And so I decided to take a number of scenes from the third film and move them up front at the start of the story. I've always felt like, just like plot-wise, in the second film, like the whole what do you call it, prophecy, you know, like it's all about prophecy, it's all about the prophecy, but they take 45 minutes to even get started on the prophecy, up to an hour. Like, that doesn't make any sense. They make the heroes jump through so many hoops in order to fulfill the prophecy, and then when you find, like, spoiler, like when you find out that it's all part of the system and it's all this incredible ploy, like, why would you go through such lengths if all you want is for them to just get on with it and like do this thing for you? Like, why would you put so many obstacles in their way? Like, some, you know, for credibility and like to trick them to come to you, maybe, but like the lengths they go through almost make it like some people don't want it to be fulfilled. And so taking that idea, and that the Merovingian and maybe Agent Smith like really want to throw spanner in the works, I make these allusions, if you will, by putting certain scenes in certain orders and editing the hell out of it, with dialogue and everything, that Smith and the Merovingian are kind of in a ploy together. So he's helping the Merovingian get to the Oracle by getting the bodyguard out of the way, and also constantly be there to prevent Neo from fulfilling the prophecy and getting through that door. The other thing I found that with the second one especially is that because in the beginning they take so long to get to the prophecy, there's all this sitting around, and not just that it's boring, but there's, just like in the first Matrix film, the hero is constantly sitting around moping like, I don't know what to do, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to be the one. And so in my version, he gets to the architect very quickly and fulfills the prophecy. Well, he doesn't fulfill the prophecy because he decides to opt out of it, that like, this is nonsense, like, I'm not playing along with this. But then you get to see all those scenes in which he's sitting around moping and like not knowing what to do is really him lying, because he already knows what he's done, but he was being too stubborn, and he may have just doomed everyone. And then when everyone finds out the machines are digging, you know, that all makes sense, because then everyone finds out, and so it adds all this, you know, pressure. I've probably been rambling, and if you haven't seen these films, this is going to make no sense whatsoever. But this is how I've been moving things around. And so I've been, like, this round again, like I was saying, I've been having a lot of fun. Just, I mean, I've, like, so this whole scene of Neo being stuck in limbo, which was originally in between the two films, is actually in the opening half hour to show the lengths the Merovingian Smith are willing to go to by getting Seraph to trick Neo into this place. And so what that ends up doing is it gets the hero in trouble straight away, shows his vulnerabilities, and it's much more interesting to have, you know, like a godlike superhero like Neo is inside the Matrix, to have vulnerabilities. Like, you still want to have him face obstacles. So in this way, we get to show those obstacles like right from the beginning, that he can be tricked and that he's not all powerful, as is demonstrated by the train man in that scene. I've also taken out the whole pipeline visions that he has and just replaced them with like actually seeing the source, because I think that makes a lot more sense. So this scene then continues in, I'm not sure how much I can actually show on YouTube, but this scene then actually continues with them extracting Neo successfully, finally, by having visited the Merovingian in the club, which is now all in the beginning. So after all the trouble they've been in the opening half an hour, 40 minutes, he goes, like, he stays on point. He goes straight for the prophecy, straight for that door, to ultimately meet the architect for the first time. Because I cut that scene in two, and he's actually going to meet the architect 2 times. So this is where Agent Smith then shows up, rather than simply after having met the Oracle. Agent Smith is like the boss battle before you get to the end level. And he has his own reason and motivations to be there, you know, to exact revenge. Within this scene as well, I've done some fancy editing that I'll just So instead of Smith trying to infect him right at the start and give away his secret power, he actually does it in the middle of the fight. And then from there, he punches him straight into the third movie. So he actually showed Neo getting hurt once again, showing the limits of his power. Because again, it simply makes for a more fun experience watching it, like knowing that the hero can be hurt. There are limits. And so one of the fancy edits I had to make here was that I'm quite pleased with, because I just could not get a segue from, you know, after I put him in this scene in the third film, to then get him to go back to where he was in the Burly Brawl, so he can then go through that door, which I photoshopped in there, to meet the architect. Like, I just could not make that segue, and so that's what I was rambling on the other day. I finally made it. Wow, sorry about that. That got really blurry, didn't it? Like, my camera just could not focus on the screen anymore. But I think you get the gist of how I managed to make this segue from him being, you know, kicked through the Matrix to a completely different part where he's been building up his little army of Agent Smiths and ruining the Matrix, which is a sneak peek at what he's, of course, planning to do to the entire Matrix by the end of the film. To Neo escaping from that part, jumping out of it, if you will, and making a run for that door, meeting the architect for the first time. I say first time because in my retelling of this story, once he's opted out of the prophecy and goes through a guilt trip, realizing what he has done while he is in Zion, he confesses to everything, and they are trying to figure out what to do next. And that is when they go to the Merovingian again, like in the original Reloaded, who is now a lot more sure of himself, having been defeated one time by Morpheus and Trinity already, and is not messing around. And so all the incredible hoops they have to jump through to get to the architect from the original now feels like, you know, like a leveling up of the Matrix, of everything, of all the stakes. And then, you know, ultimately he ends up being at the in the architect's lair again. But will he choose the same thing? Well, I guess you're just gonna have to wait for me to finish this and upload it. Just make sure you own the originals, otherwise you're not legally allowed to see it. I have to say that. So says my abogado. So yeah, you guys. I'm gonna get started on my comic book. Oh, is that already a warning that the scratch disk is running full? It's that iMovie glitch I've discovered some time ago. I'm gonna get started on my comic. I've got about, I think I have an hour free. You've seen me do a lot of drawings of the characters on like practicing faces in this video at the start. That was really from when I was at work, when I was just doodling away, like, you know, practicing my characters. But it's time to get started on page 13, I think it is. Get those roughings going. But I'll show you those on day 30. So, hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think. If you're interested in the fan edit, let me know. It encourages me, and I'll talk to you guys in 24 hours.